know that we have 2 pairs of ribs that are just floating around inside of us and that we can actually use them to help us breathe? If you are new to this channel, then welcome. I am the Techie Flautist and I put out a new video every Monday, and today is part 3 in our breathing series. Part 1 explored how the flute uses just as much air as the tuba. In part 2, we learned all about our diaphragm and abdomen and how we can use these areas to draw in a larger amount of air. And today, we are going to learn all about our intercostal muscles and ribs and how these affect our breathing.
I don't think I have an intercostal breath or a diaphragm.
And that was my trusty assistant, Alex. So when it comes to trying to get the biggest breath possible, we need to understand a little bit about our ribs. Each human has 12 pairs of ribs, and they are all attached to our spine that runs down our back. Now, the first 7 ribs are also attached to our sternum or chest bone that runs down the center of our chest. Our bottom 5 ribs are sometimes called floating ribs because they are not directly attached to our sternum. They are, however, held in place by intercostal cartilage and muscles. Our bottom 2 ribs are also called false ribs because they are not attached to any of these intercostal cartilage or muscles, and they're just sort of floating around down the bottom of our rib cage, apparently. All these images have been taken from the Healthline.com website. I've put a link down in the description, and the website actually includes an interactive 3D model of our ribs, lungs, and heart. So if it's something you're interested in, I would highly recommend checking them out. So when it comes to breathing with our ribs and intercostal muscles, you actually want to think about expanding and moving your ribs outwards. This will allow you to take a larger breath, which means that you can play your instrument for longer and louder. Now, the mechanics of doing this mean that your front, where your ribs are, comes out. Your sides also expand out, and believe it or not, your back comes out just a little bit as well. Now, in all honesty, I am not very good at the back breathing, but that's okay because I'm human and everyone has their little areas that they need to practice and work on, and that's just mine. Plus, I really enjoy practicing, so I'll just get cracking on that one. To practice this, you want to grab your hands and place them on your ribs and just see if you can locate the bottom of your rib cage. Then you want to stand in front of a mirror. Of course, we always practice in front of a mirror as a flute player. And then you want to see if you can practice using your rib cage to move your hands. And you'll find that naturally, as you expand your rib cage, you're actually forced to draw more air in. So, I have no idea if that comes up on the camera or not, but you kind of get the idea. When I was first learning how to do this, I actually had a lot of trouble. So what my very passionate and dedicated flute lecturer used to do, with my permission, was he'd actually place his hands on the bottom of my rib cage and refuse to move them until I moved my ribs and pushed against his hands. Now, this was particularly effective because I absolutely hate people touching me. I don't know why. I've always been like this. It's just one of my things. So it was a really good incentive for me to actually move my ribs. So grab a friend, grab one of your parents, this is my lovely mum, and get them to place their hands on your lower rib cage and see if you can move them. Once you can do it with someone else's hands on your ribs, start practicing it just with your own hands. And then once you've got the hang of that, see if you can reproduce it with no hands. Then, once you have got the hang of this, you can practice combining it with our diaphragm and abdomen breathing that we looked at in our last video. And once you've done that, you are well and truly on your way to mastering fluty tooty breathing. I hope you have enjoyed today's video. If you have, then please show your support by liking, subscribing, and leaving any questions or comments down in the comment section below. I am the Techie Flautist, and I look forward to seeing you next Monday for the next piece in our breathing puzzle, thoracic breathing. I will also be giving you a fantastic tool for engaging all 3 levels of our breath. So, in the meantime, happy practicing!
So long, farewell, auf Wiedersehen, adieu.